Welcome to Gone Outdoors. Kyle Agre and Scott Brewer of Brewer Agre Outdoors. Talking hunting, talking fishing, and talking anything you can do outdoors for the next hour right here on Kello News Talk 1320, 107.9 FM, and KWSN 1230 AM, 98.1 FM, both out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and the mighty 790 KFGO Fargo 104.7 FM. Today's Gone Outdoors is brought to you by Ray's Sport Marine, your local Lund Boats and Bennington Pontoon dealer in Moorhead. RaysMarineMoorhead.com. Adventure RV across from the Fairgrounds in West Fargo, your number one RV dealer in the FM area. AdventureRVSales.com. Devil's Lake Tourism, looking for wide open spaces, amazing fishing, and a refreshing escape? Discover Devil's Lake, where adventure, relaxation, and North Dakota hospitality come together. Plan your stay today at devilslakend.com. Line-X of Fargo. This is Line-X country, home of the adventurous. And Onyx Fish Midwest. Cast beyond the familiar. And it is great to be back here once again behind the Gone Outdoors microphones here in the Gone Outdoors studio. Scott, we're in the midst of what is turning into a really busy January. You know, some people think up here in our part of the world that we hibernate, we don't get out, we don't do too much this time of the year. But I tell you what, between ice fishing, Lake Winnipeg seminars, the boat show, and Men on Ice this month, although it's still early, is pretty much jam-packed with lots of fun things going on.
Oh, it certainly is. And honestly, Kyle, it's not just us. You know, you look at most ice fishermen that have ice castles or that just like take their portables out. January is really go time for them. Late December, early January through January, because, you know, as you get into February, those houses got to be off here towards the end of February, so people are really starting to wind down. Fishing tends to be slowing down a little bit. But right now, through the month of January is when people are getting out. And when you have the weather like we've been having over the last week and a half, where you got highs in the 30s, not a lot of wind, I mean, it's perfect conditions to get out and enjoy some time on the lake. And hopefully the fish are cooperative, because I know December was really good for fish catches, and hopefully January continues to be the same.
Well, I know just in our own experience, both you and I have been out a number of times and just panfish, which is a target for many, many people in the winter months. But I know the crappie bite has been great. The bluegill bite has been really, really good. And, you just think about the conditions. You mentioned the weather, but just the conditions in general. We haven't gotten a ton of snowfall on top of the ice. What has fallen is blown off or has kind of melted down and compacted. So getting around and getting to these fish is really, it's not really putting up any boundaries.
You know, and it's amazing, Kyle, when you talk about that. You know, later we're going to chat with Matt Cornell from Lake Winnipeg, and he's going to tell us exactly the opposite, that they got so much snow up there. And it's 4 hours north of us?
4 hours north, and it is a completely different landscape up there.
It's amazing. And I know our signal goes up that far, and our signal goes more than 4 hours south. We go east and west. So wherever you're listening, you know, it's because we don't have much snow. That doesn't mean that you're not in that same, or you're in that same situation. And it's different for everybody. But the idea is just get out and enjoy it. Figure out a way to get out, which many years ago, Kyle, when we first started going to Lake Winnipeg, we decided that at that time we were going to have whatever it needed to get out. If we each wanted to have a four-wheeler, we each wanted to have a snowmobile, because each year it's going to be different. And that way you're prepared. You don't want Mother Nature to decide when you can go fishing and when you can't go fishing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And being able to have those tools at your disposal gives you the opportunity to get out there and regardless of the conditions. And I think that's the beauty today is, you know, we've got reliable gear, reliable equipment. We've got great electronics. So there's no excuse to be sitting home and not out there chasing those fish. And And while you're at it, bring somebody along, bring a kid along, bring a friend along, bring somebody who's never ice fished. You want to talk about fun is experiencing the thrill of catching a fish through the ice with someone who had not that concept in their mind before that you could actually do that.
Yeah. It is so much fun listening to the ice crack, them watching you drill a hole in the ice for the first time. It is really, really cool. So earlier, Kyle, you talked about panfish, crappies, sunfish, how we like to do that in the wintertime. Let me ask you a personal question. How many times do you do that in the summertime? I mean, if you're not taking your grandkids out there, if you're just going out fun fishing for you and some buddies, how many times are you out pan fishing compared to walleyes or muskies or northerns or whatever?
Not many times chasing bluegills, I'll be honest, but I do quite often chase after some crappies. I love catching suspended crappies out there in the basin or even outside of the weeds or on top of the weeds in the summertime. I absolutely love that. It's a blast. And yeah, you catch a few bluegills along the way, but I rarely target bluegills. How about you?
Yeah, it's about the same. Once in a couple times this summer, we'll go out and target bluegills, but not too often. But I've been doing a lot more crappie fishing in the summer than I have been in past years. I'm learning. I'm probably 30 years behind on my learning curve of crappies, but I'm still learning it in the summertime, and it's a lot of fun. But I really enjoy it in the winter. And I think the reason why is because it seems like you can catch crappies and sunfish generally throughout the day, where the walleye bite generally, especially as you get in January, is going to be early and late, and you can chase after walleyes all day long, and you may not catch any. But if you want to catch fish, you got to go for something else. But I think crappies and sunfish are the perch and the sauger of our Minnesota lakes.
Absolutely. Hey, speaking of our calendar, though, Scott, folks, keep it in mind if you want to learn about Lake Winnipeg. We have seminars for Lake Winnipeg ice fishing coming up in Fargo at Shields and in Bismarck at Shields here in another week and a half. Those are going to be great things to take a look at.
And you got to go to the Shields website to sign up.
We've got the Red River Valley Boat and Marine Products Show. Scott and I will be there the whole time working in the Ray Sport and Marine booth and the Lund booth. I think we're going to be broadcasting our show live from the dome there during the show, and we're going to end of the month here, Men in Boats. Check that out on Facebook and look up the Men on Ice event. Come and join us. I'm in Red Willow Bible Camp here the last weekend of the month. We're going to be doing some fun with that, some fellowship, faith, friends, and fishing. And speaking of fishing, Scott, we've got pretty much an entire show dedicated to ice fishing. Sheena Ziegler, chairman of the Brainerd Ice Fishing Extravaganza, is going to join us with an update. Matt Cornell, Bruin Guide Service up on Lake Winnipeg, and Icebound Excursions is going to talk about the conditions up there on Lake Winnipeg and what they have available to help people still get out and access and be able to catch those greenbacks. And then finally, Brian Brosdahl, Bros Guide Service in central Minnesota. He's going to give us an update on what's happening there with Minnesota's walleye and perch bite in the Perch Triangle of north central Minnesota. You ain't going to want to miss it, folks. We're going to take a quick break right now, but we will be back with more Gone Outdoors.
Looking for somewhere to get all your fishing information in one place? Onyx Fish Midwest has something for you. Search for new fishing areas with filtering features such as species, abundance, trophy potential, lake survey info, regulations, and area insights are just a click away.
Getting to your target lake has never been easier with access points and public land ownership clearly marked on Onyx Fish. Mark and customize waypoints and weather for your exact location. Use code BA Outdoors to get 20% off Onyx Fish Midwest at onyxmaps.com.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Gone Outdoor Radio. Thank you for tuning in. You are listening to Kello News Talk or KWSN in Sioux Falls or the mighty 790 KFGO in Fargo Moorhead. Scotty Brewer, Kyle Agre of Brewer Agre Outdoors. And on this segment, we are going to head out to Brainerd, Minnesota. We're going to chat with Sheena Ziegler. She is the chairman of the Brainerd Ice Extravaganza. How you doing, Sheena?
Good. How are you?
We are doing great. Really great. I bet you're really busy right now with the extravaganza, only about 3 weeks away.
I sure am.
So let's get out the details for the people that don't know exactly when it is. It's January 31st from noon to 3. When do the gates open? Because I know people don't come out there right at noon.
Oh, no. Well, people are still actually coming out at noon these days, but we open the gates at 8 a.m. Buses start running at 7 a.m. So you can park your cars over at Brainerd International Raceway, jump on the bus. They drop you off right at the Gull Lake, and you walk out, and it's kind of a great process. It's super easy. They let you load all your stuff, all your sleds, everything you can bring. The only thing you can't bring on the bus is propane. And they let you get everything on there, and then they drop you right on off. And then we let you in the gates and start bucket checking right at 8 a.m.
So we've fished it a number of times, and every time we've done it, we've never gone to the Brainerd Raceway because we had something else going on. We stayed at a resort or one of the hotels there in Brainerd, and they run shuttles as well. Or some of them do. Maybe not all of them, but some of them do. So that's a great option too.
They do, actually. A lot of the hotels run shuttles. So Visit Brainerd, one of our major sponsors, actually helps facilitate that. So if you're staying at any of the local hotels like American Inn Express, Holiday Inn, any of those in town in Brainerd, they run shuttles as well. And then Grandview has their VIP shuttle. Craigan's has their VIP shuttle. Any of those big resorts actually have shuttles as well.
You do an amazing job, Sheena, of getting that many people on the ice and off the ice again at the end of the event. I just am always amazed. You mentioned a little bit about you bucket check. What are some of the things for our listeners who might be headed that direction for the event to avoid and make sure they don't have in their bucket that's going to slow things down?
So things that can slow you down are glass. So, I mean, we do allow drinking out on the ice, but no glass at all. So they're going to confiscate your glass liquor bottles, and then they will likely drink it at the end of the day. I'm not going to lie.
If you don't drink it before you hand it over to them.
Right. One of my favorite stories is watching these guys down a whole case of Busch Light at 6:00 in the morning, and then thinking they couldn't bring cans out on the ice. You can bring cans. We do ask you to recycle them either with our recycling bins. We're hoping to have a new system out there for that. But throw away your trash. That's huge. Is cleaning up the ice for good stewardships of the lakes. But no glass. All your bait has to be under 4 inches. And then obviously no fish. So we're checking for all of the things. We've got great security out there and bucket checkers that are making sure no glass, no bait over 4 inches, and then anything that could be of any danger to anybody else out there.
And it's all volunteers. Everything is volunteer run, which is absolutely amazing. I have no clue how many different people have their hands in this event. Do you have any idea what that number is each year?
I have an approximate number. So we have about 15 people who work on it all year round. 35 committee members who come in at about September total, and then about 350 volunteers day of.
Wow, that's huge. And that's
absolutely.
Congratulations.
We couldn't do it without them either.
Congratulations to you, and thank you to all the volunteers that do that, because you guys are raising a pile of money. I mean, it's not like you guys are getting paid. These are volunteers. They're not getting a little bit extra in their paycheck at the end of the day. They're getting absolutely nothing except the good feeling that they helped raise a bunch of money for a good cause. And where does all that money go?
So we kind of have a unique situation. So we have a main beneficiary that we do donate to. A large sum of our proceeds go to Confidence Learning Center, which is an outdoor recreation camp for adults and children with cognitive disabilities. And basically the concept of Confidence Learning Center is allowing those individuals to experience outdoor recreation any which way that you and I could. So I have had the chance to be able to work at Confidence Learning Center as a program staff, and I got to take a young gentleman. My favorite story from here is a young gentleman who was in a wheelchair, and we went to the rock climbing wall, and I got to help him up the rock climbing wall, and his mom was in tears, and it was absolutely incredible because she's like, I don't know, and I'm like, oh, let me get my friend over here and he's going to help us do it. And he made it all the way to the top and he rang that bell and he was so happy. And it's just a humbling experience. And a lot of us JC spend a lot of time out at camp, and they have a wonderful staff out there, from maintenance to program to the executive director, Travis. It's just a wonderful program. But the rest of our proceeds go to the volunteer groups that come out and help us. So we have this magical mathematical, things that my big brain doesn't do, that we have a computer do for us. When you bring volunteers out, we have an equation that helps us determine how much we can give each year based on how much we brought in to the groups after we've given a percentage to camp. So it's pretty great. We're able to give a little bit to each one of the organizations that come out and help us as well.
That's amazing. Amazing. So the reason why we wanted to get you on right now is because your online sales are just about done, because you need time to be able to mail the tickets out.
We do.
When is the online ticket sales done?
We do plan to cut off online ticket sales on January 10th this year to give us a little bit more extra time.
All right. So that would be today, Saturday, January 10th. So if you want to get in on the discount that Brewer Agre Outdoors has, you can get your tickets right now, today. BA Outdoors is the code for the discounted tickets. If you haven't got them, because I know a lot of our listeners do go, but they probably already have their tickets. But otherwise, if they don't get them now, they can still get them in Brainerd, correct?
You can get them in Brainerd. You can still get them at Fleet Farm over there in the Dakotas up until, I believe, the week before. And you can get them on the ice the day of up until noon.
Perfect. All right, Sheena, we really appreciate you coming on Gone Outdoors. You want to throw the website out there really quick in case people want to find out more information about this?
It's super hard. It's icefishing.org.
You must have got that website, that domain many, many years ago. Good for you. That's pretty awesome.
Absolutely.
All right. We really appreciate you coming on Gone Outdoors. We hope you have a great, great event this year, and thank you for all you do.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day.
All right. Stick around. We will be back with the second half of today's Gone Outdoors after this short break.
Experience unrivaled power with the Ion Alpha Ice Auger. Choose from the Steel Bit Alpha or the Ultralight Alpha Plus.
Available in 1 or 2 battery configurations, the 8-inch model cuts an incredible 1,200 inches of ice on a single charge, blazing through at 3.4 inches per second. The 10-inch model drills 1,200 inches at 2.2 inches per second. It's called the Alpha for a reason.
Find yours at your local retailer or visit ioniceaugers.com. Welcome back to the second half of this morning's Gone Outdoors. Kyle Agre and Scott Brewer of Brewer Agre Outdoors, talking hunting, talking fishing, and talking anything you can do outdoors on KWSN and Kello News Talk in Sioux Falls and the mighty 790 KFGO Fargo. We're pretty excited. We get to welcome a friend of ours to the show, Mr. Matt Cornell. Matt is the owner of Bruin Outfitting, or Bruin Guide Service on Lake Winnipeg, and also Icebound Excursions. Matt, welcome to Gone Outdoors.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So the question of the hour, Matt, is all of our listeners who've made their trips, in previous years up to Lake Winnipeg, they're getting little bits and pieces out there on the internet and on social media. But right from the guy who spends every day out on the ice, what are conditions up there right now?
In terms of travel, they are much less than favorable. If you are planning a trip up here, in wheeled vehicles like trucks or even a wheeled side-by-side, I would think twice or make sure at least that you have some sort of contingency and or a bit of a convoy with friends to go with you, because the snow is deep, and with that we have slush. And slush up here is something that is it's totally anomalous. I mean, we see tiny little pockets here and there every once in a while, but this is a record snowfall for us, and it came early in the season, which means we had, our ice was somewhat developed. We're looking at about 24 to 28 inches of ice in most places, but there's still a lot of snow on it, and it is causing a lot of problems when it comes to getting around.
I think, Matt, a lot of us have been spoiled the last few years. There's been little to no snow cover on the lake, and transportation getting around outside of a few pressure ridges has been pretty easy. So this is more of a reality check back to the days I know that Scott and I can remember when you didn't take your trucks out. You didn't take anything that didn't have tracks out on the ice. And it sounds like we're back to those days, which, it's what it is, right? How's the fishing going?
The fishing's good. It's the fish are still spread out, as they usually are this time of year. There's never really giant concentrations of fish this time of year, or at least that's what I've found. They're still kind of spread out and kind of figuring out what's what as winter kind of comes in, and they'll start to congregate. And fishing typically just gets better and better as the year goes on from now. But it's good. We're still getting some big fish. We've got a couple, I think we're 3 or 4 over 30 and a few 31s already this year, in the last 4 or 5 days. So that's been good. A lot of eater-sized fish, which is nice to see. A lot of the up-and-comers and guys are coming home with full limits, whatnot. So that's really good. And, there's obviously the conditions with respect to travel that presents a little bit of a challenge and a bit of a downside. But there is some positives to it where, without the wheeled vehicle traffic on there is a lot more room for anglers to get away from crowds, find their own pods of fish, and just be out by themselves. And I mean, you would think that's a given on a 9,500 square mile lake, but South Basin being kind of the epicenter of the winter fishing, it can tend to get busy. But these conditions help keep a lot of that traffic down. So it is nice, a nice change to be able to get away from a lot of the people that would usually be out.
We've been up on that South Basin many, many, many times, and we know it pretty well. I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you're based on the West Shore, but I'm pretty sure you go all the way over to the East Shore if need be. And where all do you cover with your snow bears?
Well, we go all over across the lake, East Shore to West Shore. The headquarters for the machines are on the west side. So if you book a snow bear through us, be it a rental or a guided trip, you're going to leave from the west side. But we'll fish all the way to the East Shore. We're not limited. In a snow bear or the track machines, it's a beeline. We also have a couple track trucks and track side by side. So, if your trip's going to be in any one of those machines, then you're going to leave from the west side. If you were typically doing like the basic run and gun packages that we offer where, you're following the guides around in your own machines, then you can use any of the access points, and the guides typically use the one that's closest to, the pot of fish that they want to get on right away in the morning.
Matt, you talked about a lot of things right there in that last minute. So I want to break it down just a little bit more. Well, because Bruin Guide Service is a kind of run and gun type guide, traditional guide type service, right? But Icebound Excursions is a little bit different. Tell us what is different
That's
about
correct.
Those two different kinds of experiences.
Well, I mean, Icebound Excursions is and was always based on fishing out of snow bears. So for anybody that doesn't know, snow bear is a very unique machine. full fiberglass, fully insulated machine. You fish right in it. It's got a furnace in it. You're warm. It goes over the snow like nothing. You're kept from the elements. So it's a very unique fishing experience. Whereas our run and gun packages is more like the big trophy hunt, the meat and potatoes, where you're fishing outside a lot when possible, or out of portables, moving aggressively, spreading out, covering water, kind of going for broke, as the saying goes.
I love it. And, especially, man, on a year like this, for folks listening to Gone Outdoors today, if you've been up to Lake Winnipeg, you know what it's about. If you've not, you gotta make arrangements and get up there. But having a guide, whether it be in a snow bear or whether it be out in a run and gun trip, having a guide has a lot of advantages. Especially if you're not equipped with the gear to get around in that deep snow yourself, or if you just don't have the experience up there in the big lake, because let's be honest, that lake can be pretty dangerous in certain conditions. Am I right?
Yeah, it can be dangerous and it's daunting, and the fish being, the way they are, just being roaming pods of walleye, it's not your traditional lake where, even an experienced angler in a lot of places can look at a map, look at a piece of structure and say, okay, well, I'm going to start there, or I'm going to, fish off this point or that bay and whatnot. The walleye in Winnipeg are constantly moving. They're constantly roaming, searching for food. And so we have a saying here that's you're only as good as your last good spot. And so it's, not that I'm trying to push everybody to use a guide. A lot of people want the DIY, experience, but a guide is extremely helpful on Winnipeg because they are out there every day. They know where the fish are. They know where they're moving. And, you have 9,500 square miles of water to eliminate dead spots in. And, so there's a huge benefit to that.
Hey, Matt, I got a quick question for you. How many guys are going out there to get the education, and how many are going out there to catch a fish? Because for me, even if I didn't fish, just being able to hang out and pick your brain for 8 hours on the lake to figure out where these fish are going, why they're going there, and all of that kind of stuff would be way more important than catching fish. And I got to believe there's other people out there that think that way too.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's looking for a different experience, and some people are out there just to fill the bag and go for their dream fish, and I can respect that. I mean, that's when I go on trips, that's a lot of what I want to do. But as a lifelong angler and professional guide, I do love listening to the stories and figuring out how the ecosystem works, how the lakes work, and how the fish respond to different things. So, I mean, we always welcome the opportunity to teach our clients, and we try to send them away with more knowledge, than they came, whenever they're up. But, some people just want to set the hook and fill the bag, and some people want to learn.
Nothing wrong with either one of those approaches. And if you can do both, all the better. Hey, Matt, we're up against the clock, but I got one more quick question. You're talking about icebound excursions here in the snow bears. You have both guided snow bear trips and rentals. Is that correct?
That's correct. So you can either choose to go on a snow bear with a guide, or if you want to go out and you're familiar with Lake Winnipeg, or you think you want to go do it yourself, you can rent one of our 6 machines and go out with your group on your own. So if you want to come to Winnipeg, but you're afraid of the conditions, because there is a lot of snow and you don't exactly want to beat up your own equipment, well, you can come beat up ours.
I love it. Matt, the final thing before we got to end this segment here is, how can folks find you?
Well, you can either find us on Facebook, Facebook, Instagram, Bruin Outfitting and Guide Service, or Icebound Excursions, or you can call us at 1204-291-5375, or email me at matt@bruinoutfitting.com, or you can find us online at www.bruinoutfitting.com or www.snowbearrental.ca.
Awesome. Matt Cornell, thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Folks, don't go away. We got more Gone Outdoors yet ahead of us. We have to take a quick break right now, and then we will be right back.
The all-new Eskimo Outbreak XDP shelter gives you the same great fishable space as the original Outbreak, but packs down up to a foot shorter for easier transport.
Available in multiple sizes, the XDP features dual heat ports, giant windows, and an oversized carry bag. Whether you're camping for the weekend or fishing for the afternoon, the Outbreak XDP has everything you need for an enjoyable time on the ice.
Check out the all-new Outbreak XDP at geteskimo.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Gone Outdoor Radio, our fourth and final segment of today's show. We really appreciate you sticking with us. Scotty Brewer, Kyle Agre of Brewer Agre Outdoors, and you're listening either on Kello News Talk, KWSN, or KFGO, or possibly listening to the podcast, which would be awesome as well. On this fourth and final segment, we're going to talk with Brian Brosdahl, better known as Bro, from Bro's Guide Service. How you doing, Bro?
Oh, I'm doing great. Loving this year so far.
So for our listeners, what areas are you guiding on? Because you're guiding every day, and we know you're in Minnesota, and I got a good general idea where, but tell our listeners kind of what lakes area that you're guiding.
Yes, I'm in between Leech, Cass, and Winnie, the perch triangle, walleye triangle there, and other lakes that are close by.
Okay, so that brings us right to our next question. Let's talk about some of these fish and how people can get on them. Walleyes, locating and triggering bites. How are we going to find fish now? Because it seems like right now the feeding windows are getting smaller, as we get into midwinter. How are we going to find them? And then how do we get them to bite? There's so many times that you find them and they just won't eat.
Yeah, they've been getting a little bit more finessey quality bait. If you can get decent-sized fatheads or small suckers, and, of course, the holy grail of winter walleye fishing, golden shiners or the occasional emeralds that some of the bait shops get from up north, those get more bites. You don't get I know they're swimming, but I call them drive-bys. They drive right by your lure, and they'll stop, and a lot of times they'll grab it. But it seems to be morning and evening. But they're on Winnie, there's been an afternoon bite, 11 to 2, and so I'm torn. Do we perch fish during the day or do we start walleye fishing? But then it lulls, and then of course hour power. But it's just odd. And Leech is a night bite. Cass is a night bite. It seems like maybe you'll get some action right at dark, and then a little bit later on. But active minnows on a just a plain red Gamakatsu hook with a split shot work really well if you want a big bite. But more eater walleyes on Winnie, the 14 to 17s. Cass is 19 to 23 inches, and Leech is all across the board, but a lot of 18 and a half to 19 and a halves, and then Leech is the big bite lake, especially the south end of Leech. There's a lot of bigger fish there.
So you had mentioned perch a few times. Where we live here in Fargo-Moorhead area, there aren't a lot of very nice perch around us, not within an hour. We go to Devil's Lake. Devil's Lake is amazing. There's a lot of lakes in North Dakota that have a lot of really good perch in them. But a lot of people don't know that Minnesota has a lot of very good perch lakes too. And I think you're kind of right in the hub of that, aren't you?
Yeah. And over the years, perch I got more phone calls for perch than anything else. So I still do it. We start out at a perch bite. And what I'm seeing this year, Leech was good for a couple of years with numbers and eater sizes. It is a little bit tougher this year. The water's murky. So perch are usually in the weed areas. So whether you're on the Walker side or the Big Lake side, got to be near some vegetation, especially not just any vegetation, Cara and a little bit of cabbage, but they're really a little bit tougher there. You can get some nice ones. You have to move around a lot. Cass has been good in producing what I call big ones, 11 to 13 and a halves, where Leech is about in that 10, 11 inch class. And then Winnie has really nice ones. You could actually, the limit's 20, you could actually get 10 of your 20 will be right at that 12 inch and a lot of 11s.
Wow.
But their numbers are less. There's a lot of roads out there now, and a lot of houses where there never used to be. So they're not getting any rest, but they're big. It's really rewarding, but you're not going to park a house on a good pile of perch. Once in a while, people do, but you have to get out and move around on Winnie because they're in little pods and scattered. But there's a lot of lakes that have perch. Bemidji itself, one of my best perch guide trips this whole year has been on Bemidji. They had the terrible winds and a lot of destruction there. They're still cleaning up. There's been nobody fishing there all year, and I could tell because my best walleye trip, best perch trip have been on Bemidji right in town there. But they have jumbo perch, and a lot of the little lakes do too, but they're going through a cycle, and some are on the down, but all your big lakes in the perch triangle over here are kicking out big perch. And then Mille Lacs, of course, I have lots of friends fishing there. You don't get as many, and the limit's lower, but quite a few fish starting to get in that 13-inch category. I had a buddy that had all 13 inchers when he was there, limit.
Wow, those are some impressive fish, no doubt. Bro, what about crappies? You guys, I know you've got panfish and crappies over there too. Are they in the mix with these others?
They're a little bit different. The crappies are in, like on Winnie, they're in, I wouldn't even call it large schools. They're in trace amounts in wherever there's weeds in all the river areas, but they've some of them dumped out into the lake. The water's down, so the crappies, there's weeds and stuff growing in the lake deeper than ever due to water clarity. And they're kind of out in the lake, and once in a while, people will bump into them when they're perch fishing. But the best crappie lakes are the 500 acre to 1,000 acre, and right in that Longville to Grand Rapids is really good. Bemidji to Park Rapids, arguably Park Rapids and Bemidji have a really good crappie population, but from that Longville to Ottertail area is the best of probably in Minnesota.
Yeah. And I can second your Ottertail because we all know how good Ottertail is. And we know that crappies in the winter times are generally schooled up. What about perch?
Towards the end of February, we get those big schools of 500 to 2,000 perch, but they're not like under one hole. They're scattered across 10 acres. And if you find a good flat that has a steep break, they're not going to go down the break. They're going to turn around. They'll keep going through your line. So it's, setting up and in a good ambush spot for them, saddles that they can cross in deep water to not much shallower. So if you got a saddle between two humps that gets close to the basin, they'll be crossing there. And I like to set up and put some fatheads down on some drop shot rigs, jig some brobug spoons with waxies and maggots. And if the water, or if it's a cloudy day, you definitely want to have some kind of pattern to it so they can silhouette it, because perch don't have good eyesight, but an electric perch brobug spoon works everywhere in all the perch lakes, and red is always good.
All right, bro. We really appreciate you opening up to our listeners and giving us some tips for this winter. Where can people find you if they need to get a hold of you?
Absolutely. Go to brosguideservice.com.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, bro, for coming on Gone Outdoors. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Special thanks to our Gone Outdoors show sponsors, Ray Sport Marine, Adventure RV, Devil's Lake Tourism, Linex of Fargo, and Onyx Fish Midwest. Cast beyond the familiar. Thank you for tuning in to today's Gone Outdoors. Follow along when you're on the ice or in the field with Gone Outdoor Podcasts at kfgo.com, kwsn.com, KELO.com, Apple Podcasts, or on Spotify. And you can always find us at breweragreoutdoors.com. Follow us on social media. And until next week, from Scotty and Kyle, we will be Gone Outdoors.